How's it going, everybody? We're back with some more GG's Drive Beta 2 footage. And if you couldn't tell from the title of the video, we're talking about stuff I like and dislike. Specifically 3 things that I like and dislike about the beta so far. That hopefully will carry over and not carry over to the game. So we'll start with the likes, because there's some pretty big ones I do like about the game so far. Starting off with the likes, I am glad that they took the time to remove all the glitches, or at least most of them. So from beta 1 to beta 2, there was of course a delay on the game. The game was supposed to come out already. Delayed it again in an attempt to remove most of the glitches, and they did pretty successfully. I kind of stumbled that word there for a second. But yeah, a lot of the glitches are pretty much gone. There were some new ones that came up, especially with Eno and Faust. There was one that was already in the beta before. It was like one with 5D. But for the most part, they're pretty much removed. Also, the infinites are removed for the most part, I think. I don't think there's any new infinites. Especially the ones with Soul and Giovanna, those are completely gone. Those do not exist anymore, thank God. Because honestly, beta 1 was kind of a mess. Outside of the gameplay, like jumping and stuff like that, there was a lot of glitches. So I'm very glad that they removed a huge majority of them. Pretty much all the ones that are very important, that are kind of game breaking, they're all gone. Which is a huge deal for the game. I think as a competitive game, you don't want a shit ton of glitches. Even on day 1, you know, there's going to be some bugs here and there, but the amount of glitches that were in the game were pretty unacceptable. So I'm glad a lot of them are gone. Next thing we're going to talk about are the anti-airs. The anti-airs work now, for the most part. You know, some characters have better ones than others. But is another thing from beta 1 I hated a lot was the characters just couldn't anti-air. Or couldn't be anti-aired. Ram especially was absurd. She basically had no hurt boxes on her swords. I didn't even bother to learn anti-air combos with Soul because it was so bad. I knew they would buff the anti-airs because they were just terrible. You just couldn't anti-air some characters, and like the reward you get off of them were pretty bad anyway. So I'm happy that they buffed the anti-airs overall, especially 6P buff. Having Head Invul not only helps you with anti-airs, but it helps you with the ground interactions as well. Especially like a lot of mid-normals, like high mid-normals, you kind of beat out with 6P. A lot of characters do, especially with Soul. If you didn't really, I mean, you probably fought Soul if you played the beta, but if you didn't realize, you can 6P his far slash, and you'll win because it is because it's just the Head Invul that 6Ps have now. Which is great. I'm glad anti-airs work. You get some pretty decent reward, at least with Soul. Soul got a really good combo off of his anti-airs, especially 5k. But third part I like about the beta is the netcode, of course. The netcode is still great. They didn't really change much about the netcode. Hopefully they add a couple more features, but we can safely assume that the netcode is going to be great. It works very well. It feels amazing, especially if you're coming from a game that had delay based. It is very strong. Very good netcode. Probably some of the best. I think most people, even the people that play rollback, say that the Strive beta, or at least full Guilty Gear Strive, that the netcode is very strong. So I'm glad about that. I was playing against Leffen as well, with basically like no lag, 2 to 3 frames of rollback. And it's just very important to have good netcode for the longevity of the game. In terms of just competition, like allowing a bigger game to have good netcode or rollback will validate more netplay tournaments. Because Dragon Ball is cool and all, but like netplay tournaments are kind of a joke because you have delay base, and it's like you can do the best you can with PC and Parsec, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be rollback. So thank God Arcs has got their shit together and added rollback. Hopefully for the rest of the titles coming forward. I know Dungeon Fighter's coming out too, so yeah, Dragon Ball Fighters 2 probably in the works eventually. And hopefully they just stick with rollback. It works. It's great. They did an amazing job on it, so we'll see what happens. So, the things I dislike about the beta. Things I dislike. So, one big thing, I wanted to make a whole video on this, low-key, but I felt like it wasn't necessary. and that is throws. I think throws are a little bit too strong. So let me paint the picture for you. So in Exerd, right, and I think in all the other Guilty Gears, throws are proximity based, like Marvel. They are one frame. They're extremely fast. A big thing with throws being one frame and proximity based is that you can't really run up on somebody like on knockdown and just run up to them and just press buttons because they can get thrown, right? You can mash throw, they'll get thrown, you win because throws are one frame, which essentially means they're basically a reversal, which is fine. That's not a big deal, right? It's been in other Guilty Gear games, but what hasn't been in other Guilty Gear games is not proximity throw. And in Strive, throws are not one frame, they're two frames, which doesn't really mean that much overall, and they're extremely powerful because they're used with dust. Forward or back dust gives you throw, and there's a whiff animation on throws. I don't think throws should be two frames, especially if they're not proximity based, because proximity based has their disadvantages. Because they were tied to heavy slash, right? So heavy slash is a big button for most characters. They're most like the recovery on heavy slash for most characters were pretty big, which means you couldn't just like whiff throw, right? You couldn't whiff throw because you have a lot of recovery coming from a hard slash. So it's kind of a problem that throws have way less recovery on because they have throw whiff animation, and that they're still two frames, which means it's very, very easy to just run up on people and throw them with a two-frame throw. And basically there's like no like definitive answer for it besides backdash. You can get thrown out of normals, you can get thrown out of reversals, out of like full invo reversals. I've gotten thrown out of Souls DP constantly throughout the beta. Like throws are kind of a big deal. I knew they were going to be powerful, just like the concept alone of having a two-frame throw that isn't proximity based. And they give you knockdown, and they give you good damage too in this game. I do think they should tone them down. I think at least make them like 4 or 5 frames. Two-frame throw is just absurd. It is way too fast without many ways to deal with it besides backdash. So far, there could be some other ones, but it just seems like backdash was the best way to deal with them because you can't press a button, you can't do reversals sometimes, and you can't jump because of jump startup. So. Yeah, I think they should fix that, honestly. I think 2 frames is a little bit too fast for throws. Alright, next up. For things I don't like. Character movesets feel incomplete. I played Soul, right? And Soul is extremely powerful. However, what didn't make sense about Soul was, in Beta 1, Wild Throw was very strong. It did a lot of damage, and you got a meaty off of it. You got meaty Far Slash, which you were +2 on, which was very good. In Beta 2, they nerfed the damage on Wild Throw, which is Soul's command throw, by the way. Damage got nerfed, and you couldn't meaty them, which made the move kind of useless. At the end, I didn't even bother doing Wild Throw unless I could kill off of it, because it did do more damage than normal throw. And this also ties in throws in general, right? I had no purpose of doing Wild Throw when I could just run up, normal throw them, get hard knockdown, get a meaty, and get like close to the same damage, right? And like I said, Soul's very powerful, but it doesn't make sense for him to just his Wild Throw to be useless. Like his command throw is pretty bad right now, and that's like a huge kit, or it's a huge like move in his arsenal, right? In his toolkit. So like for it to be completely useless is just kind of bad design. And that goes along with a bunch of other characters. Characters just feel incomplete in their movesets. Like, a lot of characters have moves that are just pretty bad. That were good in other games, too. And, you know, not every move is going to be amazing, right? But, like, a lot of characters had moves that just, like, you would never, ever use. Like Soul Wild Throw in Beta 2, which is just one example. And he's a top-tier character. Like, I can only imagine for the characters that were not top-tier, them not having moves that were... Or having moves that were just basically useless is not good. I think they really should buff characters overall. I think overall characters should be buffed across the board. Besides like Ram Soul, maybe Milia Ino. You know, there's some debatable ones in there, but like Soul Ram for sure. Soul Ram is perfect. They're good the way they are. I think they should just buff the rest of the cast. Honestly, I don't think nerfing Soul and Ram will benefit the game. I mean, characters or players would rather have characters be stronger than weaker, and especially with characters having bad moves, it doesn't feel good to have characters with just useless moves, especially if they're important, because Guilty Gear is a legacy game, so you know you want characters to have moves that were powerful to be still powerful in New Strive, right? In New Guilty Gear. But yeah, so next problem. Lobby desyncs is still a huge issue. So the lobbies got buffed, improved, right? They have the arcade cabinet setup like they used to in Exerd, right? Which is huge. It makes the lobby way, way better. There's less teleporting around, right? You don't have to whip out your sword and like try to find your boy. It's not as cluttered, right? It makes the lobby way, way better. But there is still some big issues, and the big issue is lobby desync. So what I mean by that is, I'm with my friend, right, trying to play. I move like across the room, across the park, and I'm like, yo, I'm over here, and then he will see me move across the park like 5 to 6 to 7 seconds later. So we're like trying to get our arcade cabinet, and we keep moving because your character would move way later than what your friend or the other person in the lobby sees. So like the desyncs are just really bad, and it makes it mad annoying. Especially on top of some of the connection issues, like sometimes you just wouldn't like connect, which is also a problem still. Which there's probably some desync issues. Yeah, the lobbies got buffed, and the arcade cabinets are very good, but they need to fix the desyncs. The desyncs is a huge issue. I think it's causing connection issues, and it's just really annoying. Just like trying to play with your boy, and you move across this room like 7 seconds later on his screen, or vice versa, you know. But that's all I got. Those are the 3 things I like and dislike about the beta. Overall, I'm happy with this beta. I think this beta was definitely a huge improvement from the last one in terms of lobbies, in terms of gameplay. For the most part, I know some people didn't like some of the changes, like air dash or like just movement in general. But I mean, it's a huge improvement. Just the fact that they got rid of a whole bunch of glitches that were basically making the game like not competitive at all, and the lobby system having arcade cabinets, so you don't have to worry about like trying to find space in the room and not connecting to some random person. You know, the beta overall definitely got buffed. It's a huge, huge improvement from the last one. So I'm happy overall. I'm happy that the game shouldn't get delayed. Fingers crossed. I think the game is fine for a vanilla version. They still have some work to do, but I think delays are over. I don't see them delaying the game again, so I can't wait for Strive. Hopefully they fix some more issues, and they keep the stuff I like into the game, and we'll find out. The game comes out in like 23 days as a recording of this video, so I'll see you guys there. Take it easy.